Okay. As you guys already know, I'm Johnny, and today I'll be talking about gun control. For the past years, America's gun violence has been steadily increasing due to a lack of effective law. Based on the information from Gun Violence Archive, it indicates that the year 2014, there were a total of 51,882 incidents. The following year, 2015, the total incidents increased by 1,824. And last year, the incidents racked up to a total of 58,784. So just from the past 3 years, the total incidents relating to gun violence increased by 6,902. Yes, I done the math. Anyways, this number will keep going up in the future if we don't find an effective law. That's why my major claim is that we should reduce the number of rounds of ammunition to 5 bullets per magazine in the United States. My first secondary claim is that by reducing the number of ammunition to 5 bullets per magazine, it will reduce the death tolls. Each year, the amount of deaths from firearms gradually increases is because of homicides with high-capacity magazines. According to the Washington Post, the recent Las Vegas mass shooting, the shooter, Stephen Paddock, fired more than 1,000 bullets into a group of crowd on the 32nd floor of Mandalay Bay, which killed 59 and injured 500 people. On June 5th, 2017, the New York Times reported that a 45-year-old man in Orlando opened fire with a semi-automatic handgun and killed only 5. As you can see, if we lower the ammo capacity, we wouldn't have that many deaths because the shooter would have to reload more often, which would let people have enough time to evacuate and time for police to, catch the suspect and stop his mass shooting. Not only does my proposition will resolve the death count, but it will also save U.S. money. So my secondary claim is that by reducing the number of ammunition to 5 bullets per magazine, it will save the U.S. Money. Every time a person is wounded from a gunshot, they enter the emergency room, which uses an enormous amount of medical supplies to treat their patients, which ultimately costs a lot to restock. To begin, the mass shooting in Las Vegas left at least 59 people dead and more than 500 people injured. Now, this amount of wounded would cost us a fortune because based on Devin Mullen's register, they state if the hospital charges for each victim in Las Vegas was half that, or about $46,000 each, the total bill for this single gun violence incident would total about $23 million. This amount of money is used for medical supplies and for the treatment of the wounded. According to CNBC, we spend about $3.4 trillion on healthcare each year. So just imagine how much money we could use for other stuff if we just lower the ammo capacity of each gun to like 5 bullets. We could probably use the money for improving schools or helping the poor when needed. But anyways, my third secondary claim is that by reducing the number of ammunition to 5 bullets per magazine, it is simply necessary because it takes only 1 bullet to kill a person, not 30, or yeah. So back in April 14, 1865, our 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. John Wilkes Booth was in a play when Abraham Lincoln was also in the play. He shot Abraham Lincoln in the back of the head with 1 bullet, and the following day, Abraham Lincoln died due to the wound on his head. On August 12, 2017, New York Daily News reported that a 34-year-old Doro Eckley took a bullet to the torso Monday night when a man fired a shot through a door in the victim's Williams Bridge building. New York Daily News then stated that Doro Eckley was rushed to the JKB Medical Center and died 2 days later due to the wound. If these 2 shootings indicate that 1 bullet can kill them, then there shouldn't be any reason why we should have more than 5 bullets per magazine for each gun. In conclusion, we should limit the current ammo capacity to only 5 bullets because first, it will reduce the death tolls in that the shooter has to reload in between times. which will give civilians enough time to run and for police to take action. Second, it will save US money because less medical supplies will be used. And lastly, more than 5 bullets is not necessary because it only takes 1 bullet to take a life. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
What was the time?
5:17.
All right. Thank you. All right, Johnny, the proposition that you present is a claim of policy rather than a claim of fact. You can make it a claim of fact by arguing a limitation like this would reduce the number of deaths from mass shootings. That would be a claim of fact. That you basically say, though, that we should reduce the number of bullets or the number of rounds allowed to 5. And that's a policy claim. And there are consequences to policy claims that you'll probably discover in the response arguments. There's not really a preview of what the supporting structure is going to be. You dive right into the first point and start developing your argument. The 2 examples that you cite at the beginning, you've got the Las Vegas shooter and then an Orlando shooter. I'm not exactly sure why they are being compared to each other. They sound like different circumstances. The inference seems to be that the Orlando shooter wanted to kill more people but didn't because they had a low capacity magazine. That was not very clear in the argument. And the notion that people could get away or that law enforcement could intervene, that part is all asserted on your argument. I think there's a reason to believe that that might be true, but it would be helpful if you had some evidence to go along with it. The second point, talking about saving money, would be true if there is a concomitant decrease in the amount of shootings or the number of people who are shot. There's not any demonstration, Gesundheit, that a policy like this would be able to prevent any kind of shooting. It might slow somebody down in a mass shooting, so I guess it's possible that that guy in Las Vegas could only have killed maybe 40 instead of 58 or whatever the number is, and maybe he would have shot fewer, but I don't know how many fewer. That's all very speculative, assuming, by the way, that he followed the law, which apparently is a little bit problematic. I think you need a demonstration that this law could be effective, and we don't have any comparable places that use these restrictions to draw analogies to, so I think that's a little bit problematic. Your third point basically kind of contradicts the first point. If it only takes 1 bullet to kill, what is the limitation to 5 bullets going to do? We still get the same result. The argument here has to be dependent on the magazine capacity, and you're talking about mass shootings. Anything other than the mass shooting seems irrelevant to the 5 capacity policy that you're calling for, so that's a little bit problematic. All right, thank you.